Hello, my dear friends. This is Wasimasa. I hope you are doing well. So, I'm coming today with my passion about mushrooms. so, just before I start, I was going through my decks and checking where mushrooms are. And I'm sure I forgot many other decks. But, you know, the world of mushrooms, I got into it when I was a kid. So, my mom was in the science field, and she had this book about the magic of mushrooms. They were depicted in a way, in a human kind of form, where we could see the face of a mushroom, and they were speaking. I think it's called Le Livre des Champignons, if I remember well. But that book marked me for life. I I saw mushrooms as living beings, and they had stories, and they were dangerous, but that's what is attractive about them. So, in the Western world, the medicine of mushrooms has been discovered in the late century. We know that the First Nations were using them for centuries, but the way they have been discovered and brought into the world is quite recent, to the medical world or to our consumption of them, because in the Western world there is this fear from mushrooms, right? And not knowing them fully and their magic, because of course there are dangerous mushrooms, but there are other mushrooms that are very helpful and very delicious. So it's quite recent in the Western, right? And even if we have a lot of stereotype about them till today. For example, when I talk about the magic of mushrooms, many will just think about the magical mushrooms and the psilocybin or the use of psychedelics, but it's still like, I find that discouraging sometimes, the way we stereotype things, and put them in boxes. Mushrooms are a huge world. They are neither animals, neither plants. They are a world in itself. And when we dive into them, when we dive in the history and see where they appear, I was reading about their depiction in the hieroglyphs and some temples in Egypt. Um, they symbolized many things. They were consumed by the royalty, and in 4,500 years ago, in China and Japan, they symbolize longevity and strength. They were used also shamanically to travel between the worlds. There is a beautiful depiction called Reichi Heaven in a Chinese paradise, where we see mushrooms also. It's very interesting, this link between longevity, eternity, and mushrooms. In Peru, they were known also for their knowledge about mushrooms, and so on. So their history is quite big, right? It's not just recent. And I think when we approach them, we have to do it with reverence, with an open mind, because that's what they bring us. They bring us an open mind. They say, open your mind and enter into new realms that you never saw before. And this reminds me of the Alice's story, brought the Alice in Wonderland, and the mushroom, where the size changes, where the perception uh, changes. Alice really introduces us to one aspect of mushrooms, that perception, higher perception, small perception, and also things that get out of our control. Because when you accept to connect to your true intentions or to high new spheres, you discover different aspects also of you. So it's not about perception of the external world only. You change your perception of yourself too with mushrooms. This is really what I believe. Um, we know about them in the folklore, their link with the fairies and the circles where the mushrooms used to appear after the rain. It's raining today. I hope there will be mushrooms in the next days. And when humans entered into these circles, they uh, risk to sleep or to be carried into the world of fairies without coming back again. I still see these rings of fairies till today. I'm sure if you are living in the northern sphere, uh, I know many friends, in Ireland and the UK and so on. This aspect of mushroom is very present. From my I hear them speaking about it. So yeah, mushrooms are also about connection, about communication between the different worlds, but also between the different beings. I really see them working in such a way in our physical body, and I'm really passionate about medicinal mushrooms, talking about reishi, cordyceps, maitake, lion's mane, and so on. There's so many, and I'm gonna show you a bit about that in a minute. But the communication, re-establishing the pathways of communication within ourselves and with the other world's realms. Mushrooms are about also hope, after rain, the abundance, the death, there is regeneration. We see life coming back in a different form. Nothing dies forever. I love this aspect of the mushrooms here where we see them in schools. It's always hope, always uh, uh, look for the good side of life and never lose your side of light. Mushrooms, I don't know if you've seen mushrooms at night. When they are white, they seem white, really, under the moon. It's really beautiful. I love this. I love this. The rhythm, the rhythm. Mushrooms go out of the time. They appear, we say randomly, but they are never random. They appear so quickly, right? Magically, between a day and night, night and day. But they stay there for some days, and you see their evolution, the way they open slowly and the way they change their form, going from a closed form to an open form. It's very interesting. So we see them here in the Magical Forest Tarot, the magical aspect, or the memories, again, traveling in time with this card. Love this Nine of Challenges, the mushroom appearing. They are out of time, also out of the complications of time. And that's maybe one of their helps, is that because they are out of time, we can have a higher perspective. But also, the way they cross the fields in a magical way, the way they propagate, these spores that eject that powder. I mean, if you dry the mushrooms at home, you see those like humidity. That when they dry, you see those spores going and ejecting like that powder, and it can be propagated through that. Some research is showing it. We see them also in the side in the Victorian fairy. I really love that. You see them on the back. And the trees also. They're really lovely. I hear testimony of history. They carry the history of humanity because they keep repeating. It's like water, the magic of water, keepers of the memory, keepers of the records. With them, you have access to the human and the fields and the forest's memory. They are information filled with information. I love also to see them in the series where I talked about traveling between the world, but also traveling between death and life, talking about the mushrooms and their dangerosity. For those who collect, they can take you to life or to death. I remember that mushroom, the ant mushroom, where it feeds from ants, it feeds from the insects to prosper, and it's a medicine mushroom. The cordyceps does that. So yeah, the dangerosity is in the unexpected. Mushrooms are unexpected, right? in their action. Unexpected is what we have to reconciliate with in our lives, because everything is so much in control that life becomes boring. And when we talk about unexpected things, we see the bad side of it because of all what is happening in the world. An expectation became dangerous. We are stereotyping the new adventures. We are. I feel that mushrooms are coming today in this video specifically as bringers of hope, and saying death and life is the same thing. Life will carry on. So just keep hope and continue moving. I'll be sharing with you now the Mushroom Hunters Arcanum, a beautiful deck that I received a few weeks ago, and I am just passionate about. So the guidebook is a library in itself. It talks about all the mushrooms that are in these cards, in science way, some history, some stories, folk tales. So it's a little book, but really, really one of the best mushroom books that I know, to be honest. It's very small and you can learn so much. So let me just mix the cards here. I'll show you a bit of these lovely art, lovely design. And also the dynamic way, we don't see them as in a humanoid form. We see them as they are in their environment, or maybe just graphic. And it is for hunters, right? It's for those who collect mushrooms and so on. But this style just helps me to connect with mushrooms in a different way, because maybe they put them in a scene where there are some signs, to give you substance for your readings, right? I love this one. Really love this one. The style, I hope this creator will make other decks. Yeah, really nice. All right, so we can have an example of a card and show you. Oh, this is one of the mushrooms I was telling you about. The process of acting through the end in a parasitic way shows us how it is linked with the nervous system. It is linked with all communicative pathways. Some mushrooms are rare and they disappear for many years and then they reappear magically. What is interesting in the hunting of mushrooms also is the richness that it allows us to see. It's not like the same mushrooms we use and we take, but at the same time, there is this danger of overusing mushrooms without sacredness. That's one element that we find in our human history, right? The desacralization of everything. So I will ask the cards, like maybe let's say, how can we go back to sacredness? This is what is coming now, the Chariot. Really lovely. Okay, let's see what it says. All right, here we go. This is the shaggy mane. Shaggy manes are often referred to as soldiers among mushrooms due to their tendency to grow in long, straight rows along country roads, giving them the appearance of little marching troops. Despite their soft and fragile build, shaggy manes are capable of pushing up and breaking through the strongest of surfaces, including concrete. Also known as the lawyer's wig and shaggy ink cap, and so on, will liquefy into a usable ink when past its prime. Mycologists have been known to use this ink in their writings and botanical illustrations. This mushroom calls for determined action in order to reach our goals. Now more than ever, your commitment and discipline are essential. Keep pushing and don't give up. The easy path is not your friend. This is lovely. So, yeah, determination in keeping the sacred, doing ceremonies, reminding ourselves and others about what is sacredness. I love the ink aspect because writing, we write a lot in our days. We write in our platforms, everything is in words. What type of words are we using? Are we using sacred mushroom, sacredness in our writings? Um, so that's an easy interpretation. Now, I want to show you some resources that I have been enjoying to learn more about medicinal mushrooms, which is a topic that I cherish. Oh, sorry. So I have this book, which is in French, Champignons pour la santé et la longévité. I know that some of you don't speak French, but this one is really an amazing resource. Just wanted to put it here before I bring on the English ones. Okay. Another one is called Healing Mushrooms. This is a practical and culinary guide to using mushrooms for whole body health. So, what is particular about this one is that it has recipes. So, we have recipes for gut health, for hormonal support, for sport performances, and so on. So, I love these pictures also, just inspiring on how to use mushrooms. Lovely. I love this table also that shows us what is the best way to use mushrooms. For example, some are stimulating, so it's better to take them in the morning. Some are relaxing, like the reishi, more in the afternoon, and so on. So I really love this. I come back to it often because I forget. Another reference, this one is by one of the most amazing teachers about mushrooms, which is Christopher Hobbs. He has some conferences also online if you're interested. I used this book and another one for my upcoming book about the Lyme disease because mycotherapy is one of the best practices I learned and I use for my own healing process. The particularity of this book is that it has a lot of mushrooms. I don't know many of them, but it summarized the science researches about them, the chemistry, the pharmacology, toxicity, also the medicinal or medical use, and so on. So it has like it's the library really for anything science, and also to remember for which let's say diseases it is the mushroom is used. Is it for cancer prevention? Is it for memory loss? Is it for nerve regeneration, and so on? And at the end you find, I'm just not missing this one, you find an overview of all medicinal mushroom species, and you see the common name, property, and range, and so on. I really love this book. I don't see it or come back to it often because a lot of these mushrooms I don't use them, but it's a good reference book. Another one that I read like 2 or 3 times, I think, and I'm still rereading it because I love the pictures. It's by the same author, Christopher Hobbs, The Essential Guide to Medicinal Mushroom. So let me show you. I mean, these pictures are just amazing. And it talks about the main medicinal mushrooms, or making the mushrooms also. This is process that I'm learning because I used to get mushrooms prepared in tincture form or extract form and so on. But this brought me to think about creating them. I also thank Peter, a shaman, Sami shaman that I met and spent time with, who taught me how to use shaga mushroom also for medicinal use, but also for ceremonial use. This is one of the best mushrooms, even if it's not really a mushroom, but it's one of the best that one can have. It's not, I wouldn't say it's ethical to take it in big quantities because, it's, I wouldn't say endangered, but it's very particular the way to have it. It gets extracted from birch trees, and it's not easy to find it in some places. It's a rare finding. So yeah, use it with sacredness. That's what I would say. So this book, it's summarized. We don't have all the mushrooms we saw in the previous book. It has just few, which is good for me. I don't want to go split myself between everything, you know. I want to learn the basic things. But the what it has also is, let me share here. Let me see what it is. Yeah, fungi at home. Like this, I love this part where it talks about the reproduction of mushrooms and their process of living. You get to know more about their functioning as living beings. And the pictures. Do you see the pictures I'm talking about? Aren't they magical? And I feel the love of Christopher Hope. He's passionate about mushrooms for many years. I think from 85 or so, and this book transpires love for mushrooms. To be honest, it's just you feel it, you sense it. It's just amazing pictures. Just want to spend time with this book again and again. Really, really lovely reference if you want to just have a beginner book or go to essential book about medicinal mushrooms. This is one amazing reference. All right, so that's all for today about about our friends here. If you have any other decks or books about mushrooms, I would be really, really curious to discover them. Do you have mushrooms in your areas? Do you know how to collect them? Do you have folk stories from your parents or grandparents about mushrooms? I would be really happy to know about all of this. So, before I leave, just a note about our shop. Sadly, the Cosmic Laws is out of print. I don't have any copies of it. Maybe few copies left in Canada. We'll check that. The Petrock Tarot also out of stock, but I still have some copies of some tarot decks and oracle decks if you want to check CoreMagik.com. I have also my book about the Lyme disease upcoming in French, not yet the English version. I will see if that happens this year or the next year. So if you speak French, just stay tuned through my website, wasimagic.com. And one last thing. Oh yeah, I will announce very soon a trip that I am organizing with another priestess, really, really amazing lady that I love, Yesh, to Turkey in 2025. Just to let you know, before I publish that trip, it's already filled. We have maybe one or two places left. So if you want to join, please send me an email, I'll send you the details. Not everything is still online, but just to let you know. All right, so wishing you a great day or great weekend when you see this video, and much love for mushrooms.